cut me too deep. I think I'm dying here, man.
Welcome to the 3B Video Deep Cut Podcast.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. It was fun.
Aw, yeah. It's that time again for another bi-weekly podcast with your hosts, Rotten Roger DeMarco and...
Evil.
You smell different. I can smell you through the microphone.
I am freshly showered, so I should smell different. Less boozy today.
Smell like Irish Spring and donuts this morning. Man.
Have you ever eaten something while taking a shower?
You know, I don't think I've ever crossed that bridge. I've eaten while shitting, but I've never eaten while showering.
Something to mark off the list this calendar year.
I'll give it a try. You know, sometimes, you know, you be like eating pizza or whatever, and then you get the old gurglies and you got to go to the bathroom, but you're like, man, I don't want to sit this down. I would like to finish this pizza. It's got like 2 bites left. You know, whatever. You just take it with you. To be fair, I think our bathrooms are fucking spotless because we both have bidets and, you know, we're all about that bathroom hygiene for sure.
I mean, we're gonna live in there half the time anyway, so you might as well make it nice and clean and comfortable.
Yes. Speaking of comfortable,
not very clean though.
it does not make me feel that way. And no, this movie is not very clean.
Let's talk about the truck stop bathroom of
that is the Elm Street franchise.
that is this last installment in the Elm Street series. We're at the end of Springwood, Ohio's journey. We'll begin anew next episode, but we can't start something new till we wrap something up. So Here we wrap up with 2010's Nightmare on Elm Street, a movie that's 12 years old as of recording at this point in time. How does that feel?
Bonkers. That is so bonkers to me that it's been over a decade.
That technically we have children that are a little bit older than this movie is.
Yeah. That's very weird, man.
Very weird.
It feels like yesterday. And I will say this. This movie gets its fair share of hate. And you have kind of opened those gates for me and let me kind of talk about my issues with this movie. And we've kind of theorized and we've come up with some interesting theories about this film. And it has kind of changed my perspective over the course of the, 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it's been that you and I have been friends.
You think I'd use my power for better things than just turning someone's opinion on not a great movie into like, this could be a great movie if we just...
You'll like it.
If you just watch it and think about things it could have been.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also, the Blu-ray that I have is fairly bare bones, but the Blu-ray you have has some deleted scenes and some making of stuff. So that kind of opened your eyes before my eyes were open.
And for clarification, my bonus features are about 2 steps ahead of Raj's no bonus feature. So
yeah,
not to make it sound like I've got the edition everyone wants. It's like, nah, it's still subpar for what we require for bonus features, but I mean, it's a bit more than what was there on all the other editions, so... Yeah, well, and, with the addition of some of these deleted scenes, which I didn't have access to, but you, showed me the way that they were on YouTube, and so I got to soak them up. That's what kind of led us down this rabbit hole. For the listeners, I want to preface, this movie is... It's good for what it is, but it's rough around the edges. And over the course of these years that Evil and I have known one another, we've sort of surmised that in this, rubber band ball of a mess of a movie, there's a very good movie in there that was lost in editing or due to producers' feedback or test audience feedback or whatever. We're convinced there's a very good film in this movie,
So we want to talk a lot about that this week. You know, you can listen to any number of podcasts talk about the problems with this movie.
You can watch us on a live stream for 2 hours talk about it, because we've covered this already before. And we'll touch here and there on it, where the story goes and where we think it could have and maybe did go originally. But yeah, this is very much like think of it as a very foggy road, and we're trying to burn that fog out, because
it's
we
the
believe
Silent
anything's
Hill
possible.
of roads.
Can you believe this fog? We can believe it.
Ain't no fog bank out there.
We're gonna drive right on through that motherfucker in Johnny Depp's custom ride. So, first off, we have the challenge of recasting, the ultimate recasting of Freddy Krueger with...
No.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, this is no easy task, because you already have a decades of built-in fan base who can only see Robert Englund, and this is that era of, especially for me, arms crossed horror fan. Like, don't touch my movie. Why are you touching my movie? Who is this asshole? That's not my Freddy. That whole movement of we're dipping our toe into the internet where everyone's opinion matters. And here we are.
But this is 2 years, I believe, off of Heath Ledger's Joker, and man, I was so firmly in that old arms crossed Raj mentality when I heard that Heath Ledger was going to be the Joker, because this is the first real crack at the Joker since Jack Nicholson, and I'm like, nah, man, the dude from 10 Things I Hate About You is going to do this? Fuck. And then just the trailers alone completely changed the whole game, and from that day on, I was like, I'm going to try my best. I even got fucking Heath's Joker tattoo on my arm. Like, my symbolism behind this tattoo piece is one, it's a badass fucking Joker, awesome movie. I was like, maybe just try not to jump ahead to those conclusions of it's not going to work out. Like, give it a shot. Give it an honest shot.
It's a mat with different conclusions that you can jump to.
And I'm trying not to do that with starting with that right there. So when it was announced that they were going to redo it, I'm like, finally, yes, give me something. And then they were going to recast with Jackie Earle Haley. And I was like, I have no idea who the hell that is. But luckily, Watchmen had just come out, and I distinctly remember calling out to work, rainy night, staying at home, and this really fucking dates it a little bit, pay-per-view rented Watchmen on DirecTV and gave this a shot solely. I have no interest in the Watchmen at all. I was solely doing it just for, let's see what the hell this Jackie Earle Haley brings to the table, because I read that he had a big major part in the flick, so watched it. He actually is a fedora wearing guy in that movie too. But finished that movie, and I was like, you know what? I think this guy could do it. I think this guy can totally reach that level. Just give him a shot. I'm willing to give him a shot.
Sidebar, Jackie Earle Haley had been in my living room probably once a week since my youth, but since I did not know who he was, had no fucking clue. But he's in Maniac Cop 3. He's the junkie who holds up the pharmacy. So I had seen this dude in that role, obviously. And so he's always been the Maniac Cop 3 guy to me, which is a weird, juxtaposition compared to he's the Watchmen guy, because I think Watchmen was like one of his kind of breakout roles, right? Like he was always kind of a bit character, and then when he did Watchmen, people were like, this is a guy you got to pay attention to, which obviously led to him being cast as Fred Krueger. And you and I have talked off air many a times, and also during our live stream, about the things that he brings to this role. Some are thumbs up, okay USA, and then some are kind of there's never anything like that I see and I go, that's his fault, that sucks. Mainly our gripe is the CGI patch on his cheek so they can show some depth. Not his fault.
Not necessary, though.
Right. Not at all. The makeup does a fine job.
Yeah, it takes some getting used to. It's like like a stiff drink, like that first sip. You're like, ooh, I don't know if I get used to that, but you give it a little bit of time, and you can. I would, and we've said in the past, so like the biggest problem we have with the makeup design for Freddy in this, yes, it's portrayed more medically accurate, yes, but the biggest problem with it, the only problem with it really, is they film it in way too much light.
Yeah. That has been our main critique for years, especially since this film is the reimagining, the retelling, the whatever, remake, whatever the word is now. What do they call that?
Requel?
Yeah, the requel that Scream 5 has deemed a term. But we're going in dark Krueger territory. Not a lot of silly one-liners. He's got some gross one-liners. Not a lot of hokey rigmarole coming from Krueger himself.
He tries, though. They try to do it, and it just doesn't quite work. They're like,
right.
So I'm almost positive that was some production note person going, he's pretty fucking dark. Where's my jokester Krueger? He needs to have a wet dream line in here. Give us one of those retro lines. And that's
where's my Krusty the Clown Krueger?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like, if you're gonna do a different movie, do an entirely different movie then. But they have
the balls.
Yeah, I was like, just go ahead and go for it. You've done already. You jumped off the biggest hurdle. You've recast Fred Krueger. That's going to be your biggest thing there. I was like, just go all out with it. But they have a weird thing that I think is another drawback is they have a few oddball as fuck callbacks to the original. We have a character named Nancy. That's the only character we have that's the same as is the name. Nancy is our main female lead. We have the bathtub sequence of the claw coming out of the tub.
All which you and I've talked off air. All seemingly done for trailer moments, specifically.
Yeah, done for trailer moments, but I'm like, why are we having stuff like this that don't really, like, just be different? I'm like, you're gonna put these little things in. Yeah, they're great trailer grab bits to get people in the theater, but well, then what are you gonna do? Like, where's the thought process of post being like, okay, well, we got him in the theater, now what?
Yeah,
like, what are we gonna do after the fact now? It doesn't quite make sense, because it's the other one that we hate, probably the thing we hate the most in this movie is the wall.
Oh, it's so bad. It is so bad. It blows my mind that in 2009, 2010, you couldn't fucking do better than they did with spandex stretched over fucking 4 1-inch boards, like, and backlit.
Yeah.
And if you look at Elm Street 1 today, you got it on 4K, you got it on Blu-ray, you got it on fucking streaming, and 4000p or what the fuck ever, the highest resolution you could possibly have, and you go back and you watch that practical effect in that first movie, looks like he's fucking leaning out of a wall. Looks like $1 million fucking dollars.
Yeah, done with spandex and a little bit of sound design. That's all it is, and it works. Yeah, it sounds like wood just like bending. Works. And then we have 2010, where it's blah. What we always say is practical effects will always have a timeless quality to a degree to them, and digital effects are like a fucking car you buy. They are aged and lose value that second you drive it off the lot. The second it hits on the film, it's already starting to de-age itself. So we have this wall digital shot of Freddy coming out, and it looks fucking bad. And I hate knocking like something like that, but it's bad.
I was gonna say, that's coming from a place of pure love from guys like us who we really do like this movie. Like, I have fully come around to liking this movie, but there are things like that are fucking inexcusable. Exactly. And off air, I've talked a little bit about my disdain for Rooney Mara, and I know you like her because of the girl with the dragon tattoo remake or whatever.
Yeah, that's its own requel. Good movie. I definitely think one day you need to crack that open and try it out. After 8 p.m., definitely, of course. Sure. But I really think that might change your perspective on Rooney.
Fincher direct that?
I don't know if Fincher directed that or not.
If Fincher directed it, it's probably fucking top notch. But I just am not a fan of her I don't see the Heather Langenkamp. I don't see the like vulnerable, sweet, scared, and then, like the switch being flipped. She always kind of has the same kind of stoic, wide-eyed, like pissy, smart aleck look. And it doesn't work for Nancy for me. But, that's just a minor complaint, really.
And I really want to say we're not being grumpy old men thinking that, but none of these kids in this movie really, outside of Katie Cassidy, really have an X factor that kind of draws you in, which I would have done that too. I totally would have went with that route of being like, you know what, if you're going to insist on there being a Nancy, pull a fucking rug out from us. Have Nancy be the first one killed. Have her take the Tina role and give Katie Cassidy, the one that actually had, the only one of these kids that have like a presence to it, have her be your final girl.
She is good. I always want to call her Tina, even though that's not her name in the movie. We've talked about that off air.
That's because you can't differentiate this and the original too much. Because
they keep going back to those trailer moments, like, oh, remember the, getting killed on the ceiling? We're going to kind of do that or whatever. But I disagree just minorly, because I think Kyle Gallner steals the show in this movie, because we kind of do get the bait and switch a little bit, where Kyle Gallner is almost our final final guy. We kind of get that Elm Street 2 aspect to it. We get way more flashback sequences with his family's involvement in Kruger's death.
Yeah.
So
I would have been fine with that too. I would have been fine if he was taken. He's kind of got, like, he hasn't slept in several days for a teenager and kind of an emo mopey face, but I'd have been fine more with that, because we get more with him than we do with Nancy's character. We know what we know about Nancy, that she's an artist. Apparently she was Freddie's favorite, and she
smells
works
different.
She works at a diner. At the Springwood Diner, she works there.
We got to talk about that opener at the diner, because I don't know how you were with this movie, like going in, seeing it in theaters, but this was very much arms crossed Roger,
2010 Raj.
I was sitting there, my arms crossed, going, I don't know how you're going to make me like this. And that opener with the rain and the neon of the diner feels very reminiscent, that opening shot, of another Bob Shaye film, Alone in the Dark, which is a movie I absolutely love. There's a nightmare sequence that takes place in a diner that's lit exactly like this Elm Street opener. But we get just oodles of atmosphere right off the bat in this movie. And then we kind of pump the brakes, and it starts to kind of become a standard 2010 remake, reboot, reimagining.
Yeah, the opener to this is fucking awesome. It is lit very well. It is nice and dark. It's ominous. Our lead guy there, Dean, I think is his character's name.
Yep.
Actually, like, stayed up for like 2 days, so he looks fucking wrecked when he's walking around this diner.
Greasy and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks rough, and I like how this nightmare is set up. And I know you're not a fan, but I like Jackie's little touch of his twitch of the finger with the glove thing we get to see, and it's a great kind of callback to a little. There's a callback I can get behind, is they set up Dean's death to look like a suicide or someone else's fault, and it is still tough to watch today. Even.
It's good.
This throat stab and rip with this steak knife, it definitely is awesome, and that's the most light I want to see on Freddy's face. We get some, and it's dark, but we have some of that neon lighting off of it, but like keep it kind of hard to really tell what you're looking at.
Well, and also in that dream sequence, there's this weird, like, blurry vignette around the edges of the frame the whole time.
Kind of like when you've just woken up and you got that sleep in your eyes thing.
Exactly, and that's the best way to describe it. So anytime Kruger is in those edges of the frame, it's kind of stretched, distorted, softened, and it makes it hard to kind of focus on what he looks like. He's fucked up looking, but you can't get a definitive look, and that's perfect. That, or other things like the dream sequence at the school when he's going to play hide and seek
Yeah.
before he turns and does the jump scare bullshit. The way he's lit in that sequence is how I feel like he should be lit the whole time. Sort of like John Carpenter was, not lighting Michael Myers in the first Halloween, like when he's across the street and it's just like his silhouette.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
That should have been most of the ways he's introduced on camera in this movie. But of course, every time he is on camera, it is a jump scare opening to seeing him, which do it once, maybe twice, but every goddamn time we don't need it. And you're right about the brakes being pumped immediately after that opener, but at the same time, I feel while the brakes are pumped, I feel it's put into fast forward, because I swear to God, and I think one time I tried to time it between the original and the 2010 movie of how far in the movie before the kids really kind of pick up on, okay, you die in your dreams, you die in real life. And it feels like it's probably because we get more like Nancy's arm burn. We get some stuff to kind of set up that like this is what is happening. But it feels,
pulling the hat out, going to the dream clinic.
It feels so fucking stark to be like all of a sudden they're like, I got it. If you die in your dreams, you die in real life. I'm like, how do you know all this already? You don't.
Yeah.
This Jesse character immediately just knows after Katie Cassidy's death, which is another thing that doesn't look as good. I think we talked about that off camera before about.
Definitely during the live stream for sure about the fucking flipping around on the ceiling and
that
all
shit's
that
hilarious.
Shit.
Put in that Freddy vs. Jason ping pong sound effect on that, and it works about the same. But yeah, I feel they just know what the score is way too fast.
Yeah, you should get two TVs, put them side by side, and just hit play at the same time.
I honestly think the timing is about the same. Like, as far as timestamp, I think it's about the same. But it's just, in this movie, it feels way too faster. Way too much faster. And I think that's because we just don't get, like, the little things that you watching it are supposed to piece together and be like,
right,
okay, so this, okay, I get it. And all of a sudden, it's like they're assuming everyone has seen this already. They're not interested in bringing a new group of folks into this. They're like, you know what happens, Freddy? He kills you in your dreams. You die in your dreams. You die in your life. You should already know this going in.
Yeah, and that's foolhardy on their part because they're given the avenue to, because they do essentially retell his story. They make, which this is my all-time favorite aspect of this film, is that Krueger is despicable.
Yeah.
So if we're going that route, we're going to make him despicable. We might as well.
This is your just cause. Like, you're like, I was right, you were wrong.
Yeah. He's been a molester from Jump Street, but, that's an argument for another time. But this movie...
No, it's not. This is the right time. This is the right time. You said it for years. People have argued against it. They were wrong.
I am right.
Here's why.
But this movie leans really hard into that aspect and makes it hard for you to want to root for Krueger. But again, a lot of these teenagers, they're nowhere near as charismatic as the cast of the original film. But going back to your Blu-ray and some of those deleted scenes, if the listeners don't have your specific edition, this is where we can kind of get into these deleted scenes and what they mean for the structure of the film and what film we really think is buried deep in this movie.
Honestly, the only deleted scene I thought that really looked cool in my memory is the one of Nancy's dream outside, where we get to see an entire dream world, literally, of her walking down the street. And I think it's kind of similar in the aspect of when she's crawling in the pharmacy, which is probably one of another, like, man, that first and that dream sequence are fucking awesome how those are shot. But
Perfection.
We get just a shot of her walking down a street and she's, micronapsing, which is another cool aspect they've introduced in this movie. And it goes from like her just walking down the street to her walking down, like, it looks like a hell landscape of boiler room, like industrial factories and just dark, ominous lighting and again, that hazy sleep in your eyes sensation to it. Like, yeah, give me more of that. Give me more delving into these nightmares, aside from just, I feel, doing it just to do it.
Yeah, because that's the type of stuff that they had the budget for in this movie. They had a really good chance to give us something that we hadn't seen before. And you brought it up, the introduction to the micro naps is a powerful story tool, because they get to be awake, but then we get aspects of the dream world kind of flickering in and out. And for my money, this whole movie, every dream sequence could have been like that pharmacy dream sequence. And I mean, that's flawless. That is the best sequence in this movie, hands down. It's done so well. The music, the cutting in between, stuff falling off the shelves, all of that stuff is like, okay, I'm scared. You're winning. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's when the jump scare thing can work, because that's the only time I think it does work, is when she's sitting in the car waiting on Quentin, and she's having like the quick like glimpses of falling asleep where Freddy's pulling her out of the fucking car before she burns her arm. Like, that's the only time I feel like these jump scare things are really working, and they fit the motif, and you can kind of feel it there where she's smacking her fucking face and trying to wake up. Like, everybody's been there, like, just dog shit tired, and you gotta fucking wake up. You gotta wake up, but you can't quite get there. That's where, yeah, this could be working a whole lot better. And I'd love if they went more with that, because we get touches of that. Like, I know we've talked before about when they're back at the school, and she micronapses and sees Katie Cassidy in the body bag, which another fucking trailer shot. Pointless as shit to see it.
Creepy, but pointless.
It is creepy. It is super creepy to see her in that, doing that fucked up voice in the body bag. But I'm like, there's no setup for that. Like, the setup in the original is she sees Tina's body on the fucking news in a body bag
with the arm hanging out.
Yeah, arm hanging out. Like, yeah, totally shit you see on the news in the mid 80s for sure. Just corpses just being taken on camera. But we have she's never seen Katie Cassidy's body. We know she's dead, but Nancy's never seen her. So why is she just in a body bag randomly? There's no even context of them having any interaction at all in the movie, even though they're both in the goddamn diner.
Yep, that's very true. They don't really have a on-camera friendship.
They have really nothing together. Like, maybe just that quick, like, 2 seconds at Dean's burial. Yeah,
it's solely banking on the fact that we have seen this movie before, totally disregarding the new audience, which is that's what this film is for. It knew it was going to bring in old heads like us that grew up on the franchise, but you got to meet in a middle ground, and you got to give these, new horror fans, these young kids, you've got to give them something to chew on. You got to give them this connective tissue, and that's very important. Just that one little throwaway shot of Nancy seeing Tina on the gurney, that's a 2-second shot, but it plants in that kid's subconscious, so later when she's at school, she has the dream. So it doesn't make any sense in the remake. So yeah, it doesn't work for a new audience.
No, and we have after that pharmacy sequence, we get Nancy's arm slashed, so we have to take her to get that taken care of at the hospital, where we have April O'Neil herself.
Judith O.D. or no, Judith, whatever her name is.
Hogue. Yeah, they're working to fix her arm up there, and that's where we have Quentin stealing a epinephrine pen off a cart, which is way too easy to do. And we have the misfortune of knowing the movie Crank too well So I'm I'm running through Dwight Yoakam's speech in that movie on Quentin, because he just jabs this shit in his arm and takes the whole goddamn thing. Same thing happens in Crank, but in Crank, he fucking runs across the city and has a raging boner the whole time, because that's a side effect of what? Like, you should be frigid, you're sweating, but you're really cold, and you've got a hard on that could just pierce armor, don't you? None of that happens to Quentin. I'm like, this is bullshit.
Right. He's a teenager. His dick works just fine, too, so...
Shit, that shit should be able to cut diamonds, but on being on a teenager. A teenager on a full epinephrine shot. He should be able to battering ram that shit through that damn preschool door.
That's true, he should.
Be like, I got this, Tina. Pelvic thrust through the door. He should be stabbing Kruger with that thing at the end of the movie.
Blah. Then it would be, we turn the tables, we molest the molester.
We fuck him to death.
Yeah.
And then Freddy's laying there like, I like this, but it hurts. I'm dying, but in the best way.
Wake up the gimp.
Oh, good God almighty. But yes, we went full into him being a molesting, devious figure to an entire class of kids, which I know that's another thing I've talked to you about, of like, so is it the thing that he molested this whole fucking class, and he had no like MO for like boys or girls? He just
everybody,
whoever under
diddle them all.
Is it like a height requirement? Is he just like short people? Like that is his thing? And then none of these kids can remember it. Not a one remembers it.
That is my biggest problem, because we've talked about this. We're both from, average-sized towns, and I would assume that Springwood is supposed to be kind of like any town America, average size.
But even in a fairly decent-sized city, this would be news, especially in quote-unquote back in the day of 1996.
Yeah. Because once you do the math and you figure that out, but
yeah, think of OJ trial going on, and then this would be another nationwide scandal.
Mm-hmm. But mainly my issue is why do I just keep wanting to call her Tina when she kind of
Katie Cassidy, when
she discovers like, oh hey, finds these photos of her as a kid with Dean, and she's like, I didn't meet Dean until high school. Like, and her mom's like,
Who remembers shit from preschool?
Right, yeah, this whole thing. And it's like, okay, at the very most, they're supposed to be 18. And how many schools are in this, like, in this tiny town? It doesn't make any sense. Like, they would have had to have started school together and continued school together. Yeah. So they've, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like Dean went to the second preschool, or you know what I mean? Like, how many schools are in this town? That's the issue I have.
Maybe it's a highly districted area. Like it
could be. I mean, you have multiple districts, but
I do have multiple districts. I literally, if I cross like a street where I live currently, I'm in a completely different school district. It's that bonkers. So it's plausible. I don't know how regimented that was in 1996 moving forward, but
that's why we have area codes.
it could have been a thing. And while dealing with all this, and we get the most backstory, and then originally we just get told in a story time campfire style from Nancy's mom. Here, for reasons unknown, but I'm all right with it, we get the whole pretty much backstory in a dream sequence for Quentin, where he's watching what these parents do vigilante style to Fred Krueger by trapping him in this building and throwing in a Molotov cocktail and setting dude on fire. So we get the entire backstory of this is why he looks the way he looks, this is why he is the way he is, and this is why he's after us. And then I theorized to you, what if we continued that train of let's just do something completely different. Let's just completely pull the rug out from everyone. We've already done the biggest thing. What if we go even further with it? Because they toy with us the concept of we killed an innocent man. What if you killed an innocent man? He didn't actually do any of these things. What if they went full tilt into that and they completely did this wrong and he was an innocent man? How would do you feel that would change the landscape of the Elm Street franchise, lore, character?
Doing that to me is a cop-out. What I feel like that would do is that kind of recants everything and makes it okay to like Krueger. If you take that away and you go, okay, then it's kind of slippery, because what this reboot is trying to do is make him scary again. And we were potentially under the umbrella of at least 3 more films. We talked about that before. Yeah, they had signed contracts for up to 2 more.
Yeah, two more picture deal with at least with Rooney Mara and
Jackie Earle Haley.
I don't know why I keep wanting to say Charles B. Pierce. I'm like, nope, that's the guy that made Boggy Creek. Not in this movie at all.
No, but so if we're under the impression that we're going to do a trilogy, and if you get to the end of the first film and you say, he was innocent, then you kind of give the audience carte blanche to be like, oh, it's okay for me to like Krueger now. So by the time 2 and 3 happen, you run the risk of him becoming a joke again, starting to be more silly because the audience is allowed to let their guard down and like him and things like that. And that's where the problem is for me with that. And kind of following along with that logic, you and I had talked off air about how we think a trilogy would absolutely crush it. Because I'm a big fan of epics. I like a movie that's 2 hours, 3 hours. Like, I'll sit and I want to watch a long movie. I need a lot of character development. I'm totally fine with that. And with this being a trilogy, we had talked about stretching this story over the course of 3 films.
Yeah.
Similar to the Freddy's Nightmares TV series, how the pilot episode is his trial and his execution, essentially, and his resurrection.
Yeah.
So if we could do a full first movie with make it a courtroom drama, I believe is what we were talking about off air.
Yeah, I can't remember what your structure of the 3 was, but I was like, ooh, I would want mine to be the first movie. I would want to be the entire run of him doing his dirty deeds as regular guy Fred Krueger, and that first movie ends with his arrest. And I want the whole second movie to be the trial. 3/4 of the way through the movie, you end the trial, him getting off, and you end the second movie with the vigilante killing of Krueger. And the third movie is entirely, and you make it the longest one. Like, you make the other ones hour 48, the 2 hours. You just go full Lord of the Rings shit and go like a 3-hour finale, where the third movie is the entire dream demon aspect to it. And you take the Nancy approach from the first movie is you guys got to pull him out of the dreams, confront it, tell him he's shit, and then turn your back on it, and that's how you end it. That's how I would have done the trilogy.
But give those characters 3 hours to figure out how to defeat this demon, as opposed to 2 minutes on camera going, you know what, I got it.
That's why I would bump it into 3 hours, because I would give us 2 hours of what would be the standard story of they're having the nightmares,
slowly bumping people off.
Take a few out. They figure slowly out what the score is, how to handle it, and then it comes down to 1, and then that last hour is the whole kind of. I would like that whole last hour just be the build into the last nightmare, the confrontation, the end.
Yeah. So my structure is very similar to yours. So I don't know if you've ever seen the Denzel Washington movie, The Hurricane, that's based on
I love The Hurricane.
Okay, so here's my pitch, following a very Hurricane-esque format.
Here's the story of the Kruger man.
Yeah.
He molested children all in the land.
So you start it with a crime being committed, or you start it with a child crying to their parents, or the parent finding scratches on a kid's back during a bath, or, you start like, it's this wholesome, like, parents getting ready to have dinner or get ready to put a kid to bed, and then they discover the scratches, and, blah, 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 and we get into finding Kruger, arresting Kruger getting a lawyer, going to trial. This whole first movie is, we don't see him hurt a kid, so there is the potential that he's innocent. Like I think I told you about this other movie called True Story with James Franco.
That was Primal Fear.
Oh, and also Primal Fear. That's another one.
Primal Fear is the one I remember us talking about.
All great courtroom movies. And Primal Fear, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen this movie.
He did that shit.
Yeah, he's touted as an innocent man, and so Richard Gere is going to get him off. And Richard Gere spends the whole movie crushing this trial, gets him off, and then Edward Norton goes, by the way, I am a bad guy. And it's like, so I feel like that's your structure for your first Elm Street film, is we make Kruger seem innocent, which they do a good job in this 2010 remake with him running and being like, what do you think I did? I didn't do anything. He's very believable.
Yeah.
Very, very, like, scared. So you present him as scared and give him kind of like a Ted Bundy aspect, because a serial killer would have that. I'm a kind of a smooth talker, and the guards kind of like me, and they'll let me go to the library by myself because I'm not a threat, man. I didn't do this. I'm, like,
in the wrestling business, he would be quote unquote working the boys.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Kruger would be doing. But it's open for interpretation. So you're watching this movie and you go, maybe he is innocent. So the whole movie is this. It's walking this Hitchcock suspense level where you're like, is he a bad guy or is he not? And then you drop the bombshell on him at the end that he is a bad guy. And that's how we end with, he's a bad guy, supposed to go to prison, but then the judge throws the case out because something was done incorrectly. And we end the first movie with him kind of being like, I'm free, So then you get the second movie where you get all the parents in Springwood going, you're a piece of shit lawyer, and and we got to figure something out. We got to take this motherfucker out.
They kill the lawyer too.
Then they go to the cops and they're like, arrest him. You got to arrest him. He did touch our kids. And then the cops are like, we can't do anything about it. You got to do a whole new case. He's got to do something else. We got to catch him doing something else. So then you have all the parents like, they're not going to do it. We're going to do it. So it's kind of this whole them planning out. Like, I could see another hour and a half, 2 hour movie of parents like watching him, figuring out his routine,
I don't even
knowing where he's going to be.
I felt mildly hard time believing that. I would totally think once the verdict came down, like within hours, it'd be evil dies tonight, Freddy burns tonight.
It'd be some Captain Howdy shit.
Yeah, it would be mob mentality, revolt. Like that courtroom would look reminiscent of the Capitol.
But see, here's how you play it: is these parents are smart, and they want to leave no evidence, and they want to make sure everyone involved isn't going to turn them in because they don't want to go to prison for murder, so they've got to cover it up.
You're not gonna.
And that's where.
Are you gonna have the aspect where we don't have a cop that's included on this?
I like the idea of having a cop that's included.
So would you have the cop included in yours, or would you have it not?
I would. I would for sure.
That makes it easier.
Yeah, because then the law isn't going to do anything. But
evidence got lost. I don't know what happened to it.
So that's how you end that second one, is with him being burned alive, and then we end it on a kid having a nightmare, like where you see Kruger silhouetted, and you get the laugh. And so you get this cliffhanger of an ending like, oh my God, he's dead, but he's in these people's dreams. Like he's after these kids that he molested or whatever. And then you got to wait 2 years for the next one to come out where he's a dream demon and he kills everybody. Like, it's box office fucking gold. Box office gold. If we can fucking have 4,000 Marvel movies where the same motherfuckers jump off the same building and crack the same concrete, we can have 3 fucking Kruger epics.
He's going to do the superhero landing. Look, he's going to do the landing.
There it is. Fucking hooray.
Okay, so then I'm just left with the how would you, if we're just reconstructing all this, how would you bring the element of him being resurrected as a demon thing? Because like in my mind, there's one of 2 ways you could go, is either like a psychological route of like these kids were touched and have suppressed that memory, and the suppression of that memory in their subconscious is what's manifesting in this way, as one aspect you could do it. And the other one I thought of, that like, what if we just were to combine a bunch of other stories into one just jam-packed story? Like, what if we took one of those 18 million script ideas for Freddy vs. Jason, where they resurrect Jason through the cult aspect? So what if we had a cult of Fred heads? What if we just brought in, because I mean, if we take the time frame of when this happens, serial killer fascination is fucking strong.
You're all about that Fred heads.
Well,
you were for Wes Craven's New Nightmare as well.
I was, but like, so what if we took that and did the cult thing, and people are just so into serial killers that they just become fans of Freddy, and because of them somehow they resurrect Freddy by intentional means, kind of a thing. Like, so how will, or do you have a different way you would prefer that this, or would you even bother explaining at all how all of a sudden he's a dream demon?
See, I like your first idea a lot. It's the suppression, it's the parents, being like, this didn't happen, like therapy, this didn't happen, whatever, and these kids knowing it happened, and they can put on a face in public and be like, you're right, I'm okay. I can tell my therapist I'm okay, I can tell my parents I'm okay, whatever. But the fact is, I'm emotionally damaged, I'm scarred. And every time they close their eyes, they see him. But it's not enough that if it was just one kid seeing him, it wouldn't bring him to life. But all the kids are so damaged that they're dreaming of this man.
The cumulativeness.
And they kind of, what I think would be neat would be they all have this vague recollection of him when he was alive, but they know he's been burned alive, but they didn't see it. So each one of them's like version of him in the dream slightly different, gangly with real long arms, or you know what I mean, or
man.
Yeah, every one of them kind of has their own version of him in their head, but they're so scared that the dreams, if they die in their dreams, they die in real life, which, just like Wes Craven's inspiration for the real story, is these nightmares actually killing kids, I believe, in the Philippines.
Gosh. It's like Hmong Hmong men. Hmong men. Asian descent. Yeah. Dying in the middle of nightmares. I don't know, maybe my aspect was this, I just wanted one silly element.
You want that Fred Heads gang cult so bad. Yeah.
Maybe because that was one of the only scripts I did read. That was like one of 2 scripts I remember reading when that movie was not made yet, of like what the story could possibly be. And like, no,
that was Peter Jackson, right?
No, he had the dream lover thing where all the kids were going to sleep intentionally and beating the shit out of him, kind of a thing. I think it was David Scow, one of the Splatterpunk guys that did the Fred Heads cult thing.
Oh, nice.
And I just liked that an aspect, and I have no idea how I would connect it all, but I just like in my head, I'm like, so what if this fascinated cult resurrected him by some means, and then we just have this Freddy coming back and just killing the shit out of all these people, like lickety split, like they've unleashed it and they had no idea what they were actually doing.
Nah, I got you.
That's probably just me wanting to insert a little bit of classic silliness into this series, because I think both of our takes are pretty kind of in line with how this movie is. It's pretty dark, and not traditionally fun as the Elm Street series ended up being from 3, 4, 5.
See, and I like that aspect. Like, if they were to do this as a trilogy, if we were going to bring Krueger back, this is one of the things that I think they don't explore enough in the Elm Street franchise, with the exception of, I think, 4 and 5, because Alice's dad is a perfect example of a broken man. Like, he plays grief so well, and like
better than any parent in this movie. Every parent in this movie seems to do pretty all right with killing somebody.
Yeah, so here's what I think you bring to that third movie is once these kids start having these nightmares, you get more of that mob aspect from the second film. You bring those parents all together again, but they're all helpless, and they're all kind of discussing like, hey, is Katie dreaming about him? Yeah, so's Johnny, or whatever. Like, but they're so fucking helpless and so scared that they can't help their kids. And then the first murder happens, and all these parents realize we could protect you when it was real, but now we're helpless. So you kind of dive into that human aspect. A lot of people really shit on that Pet Sematary remake. You and I have our issues with it, but there's something about the adults and the grief process. I feel like that's something that's missing so much from the Elm Street franchise. Is if you want to connect with the old school audience like us, now we're not teenagers, we're parents.
Yeah.
So give us parents being helpless and sad and hurt, and then, make these teenagers likable, like previous Elm Street entries, and take them out and rip the fucking heart out of the audience. I think that's what you do. And then you're making Freddy absolutely terrifying. You're giving teenage audiences characters to relate with, and you're giving old Krueger fans parents to relate with, and their villain back being a villain.
And there's money to be made in a broken Clancy Brown.
Yes, absolutely. Listen, if Quentin Tarantino were to make this trilogy, he keeps wanting to dip his toe fetish into horror. So, I
don't know if I want to see Clancy Brown's feet, though.
I do. But, I mean, don't you think, dialogue-wise and story structure-wise, especially with the novel story style that he does, where it doesn't follow a linear timeline, don't you think that he could do something special with Elm Street?
I feel he totally could, and I would like, when you're going back to these parents broken down the road years later after the incident, I would like an aspect of not necessarily Freddy invading their dreams and killing them, but maybe some supernatural means of taunting them.
Yes.
Like, similar to like we have, like in part 4, we have that photo on Alice's mirror.
And the postcard in 5 or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, see you in hell thing. I was like, if we could just have some aspects like that, just furthering Clancy Brown into, like, going for the bottle or the gun.
We get the Krueger phone calls, because those are terrifying.
Oh, the new nightmare phone calls, yes.
Yeah, that's your taunt right there.
I touched them.
Oh, yeah, dude. Scary.
Yeah, give me Clancy Brown unshaven for like 3 years in a bathrobe with Quentin's looking eyes, just getting these phone calls, and like just have him ripping the phone out of the fucking wall at one point and just throwing it in a fireplace. Make that a whole thing. Make every parent getting the phone calls, and just make that almost a subtext thing. If they just are, phones just piss them off, so there's no means of communication. Everyone is using like letters and shit like that. Any other means besides the telephone, and put that in the fucking dialogue of like the kids being like, yeah, we don't have a landline anymore. Like, do you have a landline? It's like, we haven't had a landline in years. We don't have a landline either. Why do none of our parents have landlines?
Yeah.
We have no phones. Like, just the sound of a phone ringing, like, fucking puts them through, like, some PTSD.
It's some 976 evil shit. Every time you hear the phone, you're like, ah, fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something there. There's a movie there, or 3 movies there.
All this stuff we've talked about is stuff that you can almost potentially see going on in this movie. But it's just, it's buried amongst our opinions entirely. Studio meddling, trying to make the most widely open movie for the audience, and just trying to pump out and like, will this work? Do it. Just do it again. Put in some aspects that are from the original series to bring in these old fuckers and just do it again. And I swear, if we ever have the like, as much as you were like, damn it, he was a pedophile and I know it. Like, one of these days, if there's a version of a Snyder cut of this movie that comes out, we can be the ones going, no. All you people hated this fucking movie and didn't believe anything good would ever come of it. But now you're not allowed to jump on the bandwagon because we already owned it, motherfuckers. We owned it back then when we knew there was something good about this. It just wasn't there visually for everyone to see yet. But we could see that shit. Our eyes are wide open.
And it's mainly the editing, right? In my opinion, with this movie, they start like they're on the right track, and then they just make some very bizarre editing choices. You and I have both talked about it. The kind of like speed ramp, and then the jump scare cuts. These weird things that they insist on putting in to the movie when the atmosphere is perfect in certain aspects, but then they choose to like, let's take it a little further. And by these extra 1 or 2 seconds, or even sometimes 1 or 2 frames that are added in, you're kind of almost shooting yourself in the foot by taking away all of that tension and just giving it a ooh boogie boogie move like moment.
Perfect example is like Jesse's death. Is he's immediately collared for Chris's death. He's thrown in jail. He had, and it's a pretty cool dream sequence scene how his death goes down. But in the real world, he's just in a jail cell with another dude, and his chest just explodes. And while it's fucking hysterical to watch this other guy in the jail cell start pounding on the door, going, "I didn't do it." Like, think about if they'd kept that motif they just established, and we just had like a tussle between Freddy and Jesse in the dream world. And then you just, in the real world, we see Jesse go under the bottom bunk and start, unconsciously attacking this other guy. And just have it look a little bit more like you could pin it on a prison room scuffle that ended in this guy's death, instead of his chest is fucking exploding like Jesse Ventura in Predator.
Right, like he's thrashing in his bed, so the cellmate gets up to be like, "You all right?" and like leans over him.
Yeah.
So the camera's behind him, so you can't see what he's doing, but then you see blood splatter. So on camera, it looks like he stabbed him or did something to him.
And you could totally go with like he had a shiv just maybe for protection on him, the other guy in the cell, and you go with he's got a claw. So instead of blowing it through his whole chest, over the top style, you actually go with him being cut, him being stabbed, him being slashed. And then you could utilize the shiv knife and have no, he killed Chris and then he died in a scuffle in prison. There is no Fred Krueger. Stop it with that nonsense.
Yep.
That's how you bring back an old concept better in the new movie. And maybe all this ain't there, but I feel like it was there, and this something else caused him to go, like, just put a hole through his chest and let's call it a day, move on.
Yeah, there's definitely something there. And the next time you, listener, watch this movie, watch it under the guise that Evil and I've said, that they just look at this editing process. See what's right, what's wrong. And you'll be able to tell where exactly someone put their finger in and said, let's change that. You know what I mean? Like, it's so obvious once you realize, because we only briefly touched on those deleted scenes, but every single one of those deleted scenes is a much darker tone. There's some stuff going on in those deleted scenes.
I'm not sure the aspect of the one with Quentin being like unzipped and Freddy's underneath his face. Like that's a strange one. I'm curious what the rest of that tale is, but yeah, just little bits that kind of show a little bit more like of a story of darkness that could be there. Mm-hmm. And yeah, just get rid of that fucking bright ass lighting, and there's something that's there. There's something that's there.
Yeah, there's a much better movie hidden under the surface. My Blu-ray does not have commentary, which is a sad state of affairs. I don't know if yours does. I know I've asked you about it, but I don't know if you've looked.
I don't think it does, because I don't remember seeing one, but I could be wrong. I'm going to have to go back up immediately after we're done recording and take a look to see if there is one, but I don't think there is. It's literally like there's a couple of making of blurbs that are like under 5 minutes.
I hate those.
Yeah. It's real quick, like little bits, and then a couple of flash deleted scenes that don't really have a whole lot of context, but it gives you a glimpse of like, there's more. Mm-hmm. And it exists, and it's not living in that Jason New Blood territory where the deleted scenes were cut, trashed, and thrown away. We're in the digital filming era, so all this film exists. It's somewhere, and it's in pristine condition. It just needs to be put together by a real fan instead of a Platinum Dunes executive.
Absolutely. Yeah, give us all the raw footage of that movie, and I will cut together a much better movie for you, I promise.
And we didn't talk about it tremendously, but did you have a Brown Panty Award winner for this film? Or is it, as suspected, I think, the same as mine?
Chewy.
Dewey?
Chewy.
Oh, yes. Well, then, no. Mine, of course, was how I talked earlier. I'd rather have it flipped and we have Nancy get off than we have Katie Cassidy take over. Because I really, really like her character and think that she could have been the star of this. Rooney Mara does okay.
Meh.
Maybe because I see under that guise of the other movies she's done there where she's fucking awesome. But Katie Cassidy, I think, just owns it in this thing, and it's a shame when she goes, because I think she could have been an interesting foil, and that'd be been a good flip. You don't really have a blonde. Shit, I don't think you have any blondes that are really that are there at the end of any of these movies, really.
Not
outside of
not Elm Street.
Outside of Kristen in 3, and she's part of a more or less ensemble, and she doesn't really have a big hand in the death blow of 3. And she gets it off pretty fucking quick when we go into the next one. But you don't really have a blonde that is a strong female lead outside of Kristen from 3 in this. That's
true, yeah. Redheads and brunettes.
Yeah, right. Well, nothing wrong with that.
Damn right.
It's but, a pretty good combo, you ask me.
Yeah, I always forget the actor's real name.
It's just Chewy, man. He's Chewy and everything.
He's Chewy from the Friday remake.
Which what a contract, and like what an awesome contract man to be. I'm in both Elm Street and Friday the 13th.
The main issue you and I both have with his death in this film is who uploaded that video. That's my main issue.
Yeah, I'm like,
he's a character. He's a character that I would love to have seen an actual sequence with, not via webcam. Like
put Jesse's goofy ass face on a fucking webcam and kill him that way, and give me Chewy in his role, or in Quentin's role even, really. I would have been fine with if it's Chewy and Katie Cassidy at the end of this movie that are the survivors. Really go outside of like expectations of a norm.
Yeah, that would be way different. People would be like,
a blonde and an Asian survive the movie. What? Yeah, I know. We're talking crazy today, folks. We're talking crazy. But we are talking Elm Street 2010. We are in Crazy Town.
Yes. this is a crazy movie, dude. There's so many different weird things. We didn't bring it up. I mean, we're basically at the tail end, but my least favorite thing, Kruger-wise, in this movie, I mean, other than the finger shuffle, which you happen to really like.
I do love that. Is it the...
Oh, no, I like that. I don't like the finger blade sparklers. That really bothers me. That I don't know why.
I don't know why either, because we pretty much have that in The Dream Child. You
have that in basically every Elm Street movie. There's sparks that come off, but they just feel so artificial in this movie. Like, way too much. Like he's fucking spot welding.
Yeah, like he's just gliding his claw across that pipe. He's not, like, scraping it. It's just... He's just touching it.
Yeah, and it's literally like he's fucking arc welding or something. It's like... fucking crazy. It just drives me nuts. It's like, do you have Roman candles on the tips of your fucking blades, or what's going on over there, man?
Again, I think, and that's... I want to say that's another one of those deleted, like, quick scenes, is there's, like, shots of a long stretch hallway where there's just candles lined up on both sides, like a million fucking candles. Heaven help whoever lit all those fucking things. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to use that scene. Motherfucker.
Yeah. That production assistant had a hell of a day. He's like, quit opening the fucking door. The wind keeps blowing these out. Like,
nobody walk down the steps. You're gonna blow one out. That one's blown out. I don't care. Roll camera. You fucks. Roll camera.
Digital camera or digital candle flames.
Digital flickers. You know,
yeah.
Go get a bunch of flameless candles.
That'd be the only time where I deem CGI okay, is because I don't want to have to light 1,500 fucking candles and then have 14 people in the room moving around and accidentally blowing them out. So I got to jump in and risk lighting myself on fire.
Yeah, not to mention, you know, that's not like how filming is like, all right, we got it, move on. You know, that was probably a fucking, like, several hour shoot. So it's like all these candles are slowly burning down. You're like, well, we're not going to have that stay the same. We got to replace some of these candles out there burning down too fast.
Man, just, yeah, imagine 2 guys on the side. It'd be you and me. One of us has like a big fucking Christmas sack of candles and the other one's got lighters. Like, all right, here's a new one. Run in, swap it, light it. Like it's a fucking tag team.
Yeah.
Like, throw me the old one, and I'm throwing it in a fucking trash bag, and you're taking the new one, lighting it, sitting it down.
We're trying to find a way for both of us to, like, have multiple Amen flames in each hand. Like, oh, if I hold them like this, I can get 3 Amen flames going, so I can light 6 candles at a time. So
have K and B, whoever prop department, build me a Kruger glove that's fucking
Amen flames.
Yeah, hook it up, son. I'm trying to light all these fucking candles in a timely fashion.
Like, call me Ghost Rider on the walkie-talkies when you want our attention. Flame on.
I think I see something in the back of the closet. That being said, we've spent about an hour and 8 minutes kind of diving into what we think a trilogy, Elm Street trilogy would be. But again, if you want to hear us talk more in depth about this film, you can find it on YouTube. 3B video, Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 live discussion. About a 2-hour show where we get into pretty much every single aspect with some visual aids and other things of that nature. So if you want that...
If you've not gotten your fill enough, there's where you can get a bit more. But... this is the end of the Elm Street series. We gotta move on to other territories, but we can't go on to all these other territories till we wrap up Elm Street proper. And we can't wrap up Elm Street proper unless we join the bandwagon of folks who just fucking hate this movie, because we're full of shit. This movie isn't good at all. There's nothing good at all about it. And you know how we know that's true? Because we went to where you go to critique films. We go to the Amazon 1-star reviews.
Hated it.
So many. I feel like I'm gonna wrap. Well, we're gonna give some 1 stars, just because it's what we do. But I feel like when it's all said and done, I want to find a 5-star review. I want to find someone who loves this fucking movie.
I like that idea.
Just because Everyone hates this film. Like Marlowe. On July 30th, 2019, Marlowe says 1 star, extremely lame. You can't remake a movie with a character that has been set in stone. This new Freddy is charmless and lacking any kind of wit. Dream sequences are not surreal enough. And if this movie had been made without the previous franchise, it would have flopped even harder. This version blows.
Wow.
Sidebar, 7 people found that helpful.
He's not wrong about the if you aren't a fan of the other franchise, you know, because we were already talking about that. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of built in with all those trailer moments and shit. You got to know Krueger to even remotely appreciate this, I think.
Yep. So, next on the list is E. Roman on April 28th, 2020. 1 star. Garbage. Hollywood, just stop.
Stop it.
Nothing new, original, shocking, or worthwhile here. Stick with the original. This one will only give you nightmares if you watch it all the way through. Snooze fest.
Fine. Wow.
Hey, yo. I was listening to another podcast, and that's how Scott Hall would sleep. Is yo.
The bad guy, Chico.
You know what Scott Hall's favorite Chinese food is?
I don't.
Lo mein.
Oh, perfect. You know what Bruce Lee's favorite drink is? What's up?
Well, now that we're both going to be canceled after that.
Yay, that's not a racist joke. That's a Bruce Lee joke.
Yeah, it's not a gay joke, and that's an Australian joke. Aw.
Hey, basketball reference, deep cut.
So, back to Honey on September 24th, 2019. Honey says 1 star. Oh, no. Wasn't impressed. I'm a diehard old school Freddy fan, and this has nothing on it. They did explain the story better, and back in the day, but the original was a lot more creative.
Well, yeah, that I can't fault that review either. Really, like they did explain a lot more stuff.
Then we have a stranger in a strange land here with R. Pierce on September 7th, 2021. R. Pierce says 1 star, best of the series. Best of the entire series.
This is the 5-star?
No, it's a 1 star.
Wow, okay.
That's why he's a stranger in a strange land. He doesn't know where he is.
I don't know how stars work.
The uncolored stars mean that's good, right? 1 star means number 1, right? That's what it is.
Could be. Maybe we're just doing it wrong.
Yeah, he's the only one doing this thing right.
Let's all follow R. Pierce.
But next after him, we have Daniel Priest on November 23rd, 2015. He says 1 star. Don't watch! Horrible addition to the Freddy Krueger saga.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh. I'm gonna watch!
I like this one from Andrew on May 28th, 2020. He says 1 star. Run! I like his description is awesome. I love this. Worst remake ever. Not the seller's fault.
That's true. I don't give this seller 1 star.
Don't shoot the messenger. The product he had was garbage, but it's not his fault.
Run.
Yeah, run. And another maybe too truthful 1 star from Sam Weiss, January 16th, 2014. He says 1 star, too many jump scares. This movie relied too heavy on loud music to startle rather than building effective scares. I would not watch it again.
Ooh, boogie boogies.
7 people found that helpful.
Woof. Dang. 7 Krueger haters out there.
Yeah. Let's see, 5 stars just to balance out. Oh, this one doesn't work. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just the This person may be stretching to reach for a 5-star from Jacqueline Snyder on May 19th, 2019. 5 stars, good price. Like, no, give me something else here. Here we go. We got Alfie Numeric.
All right.
Alfie E. Numeric on October 23rd, 2019. 5 stars. Jackie Earle Haley nailed Freddy Krueger's role. It's too bad people tend to not give remakes a chance because the originals are classic. Well, we will always have the 80s version one, so give this one a chance. Visually stunning, and it still snatches your breath from time to time. I already know the story, but I was still on the edge of my seat.
Spoken like a true open-minded person.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm going to give this a fucking go.
I like that. I think more people should be like that. So,
I don't know. It's not what the internet's made for, sir. It's made for slandering others anonymously.
Yes.
It's not a place for praise.
Made for shitting on movies.
It's made for telling everyone that I've made better shit on film by shitting on film.
Speaking of platforms for shitting on things or praising things, it's important to note that we are just like you. We're just a couple of guys who decided one day we were going to critique films or whatever, what have you, make films.
It's essentially, we were like, let's just talk about movies like we normally do, but let's just record it so we can have evidence of such things.
And it took a while to build a structure, but we wouldn't have been able to do this or build a structure without the help of Anchor.fm, which is the website that we use to create our podcast. So if you are like us and you want to sit around with your buddies and talk about movies, foods, whatever it is that you're passionate about, it's just a click away at Anchor.fm, so you too can create your own podcast and have your very own platform to talk about whatever you want, whenever you want.
And it's super fucking easy to do. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. Anchor makes it so easy that it puts your show out on almost all platforms. Whatever it is you're using to listen to stuff in, you can probably find it if you're going through Anchor. Using Spotify, using Podbean, they're covered, man. It does all the work for you. You just record your show, Anchor puts that stuff out there, and people will find it.
It's that easy.
It's so easy. I could do it.
It's so easy. It's not a nightmare or something.
It's so easy, it could be confused for Sunday mornings.
And there you have it. Well, now that we're done with the Amazon 1-star reviews, Evil, what does that mean?
You know, it comes at an appropriately almost sad time, because as of time of this recording, it has been officially confirmed by the man himself that Triple H is retired from in-ring competition due to, heart issues, which probably stems from maybe substances he used to get so goddamn big that he will not admit to taking, but come on.
Vitamins, baby.
Yeah. Jelly beans. Someone took all my jelly beans. Someone took all of Triple H's jelly beans. So we won't see any more in-ring work. Maybe just appearances once in a while. So no more ass kickering from the game. That doesn't mean it's time to stop playing that game.
It's time to play the game. Time to play the game.
It's all about the game and how you play it, and you smell different.
Jesus Christ. I'm uncomfortable. I'm going
Jesus
home.
ain't got nothing to do with this place. I'm gonna make a mess all on your face.
Oh my goodness. That's right. If you are listening to the Deep Cut podcast and you are new, welcome. If you're wondering what is the game, well, let me break it down for you. The prop game is in and of itself a deep cut. You're going to pick a prop from the film that we are covering that is not something off of the well-known beaten track. We're covering the Elm Street franchise, so you cannot say, I want Freddy's hat, sweater, glove, whatever.
Get that shit out of here.
That's a cop-out. You cannot do it.
That's not deep enough.
Yeah, as Evil likes to say, you're listening to the Deep Cut Podcast, so go deep.
Or fuck off.
You motherfuckers.
It's go crucifix deep or go watch a different exorcism movie. Because you ain't got the balls to play it the right way.
Here I come, Exorcist 3. So let us know in the comments on Spotify or wherever, on our Patreon, what prop you would pick, or let us know in our Discord. Either way. But I think I'll go first this week, Evil. You and I have talked a little bit about the wide array of weird props in this movie, and so there's two that I kind of go back and forth with.
Okay.
And my first instinct is to take Jackie Earle Haley's like little garden tiller tool that's kind of the throwback to the first Elm Street.
Intense, huh?
That to me seems like the perfect deep cut prop. The other one, I kind of want the paper cutter blade, the faculty tool.
Between this and the 04 Punisher, paper cutters are really good murder weapons.
Fucking A right.
That's pretty good. I can't fault you for that. I am also torn between two, because the first one I want to take is, I'm not sure you could qualify it as a prop, because I don't know if it's real or fake. I want to say fake, but I could be wrong. But if it is fake, truly, you give me that dead dog.
Oh, nice.
Being the king of dead dog props, I want the dead dog prop. I was only trying to pet him. But if by happenstance that's a real fucking dog just with blood splattered over the side of it.
Just holding its breath.
Yeah, holding its breath, Just in case it's not, my super standby one is give me Quentin's epinephrine pin.
Woo!
But I prefer give me that dead dog prop.
I want this cigar box full of kid porn. Just kidding. That's just fucking kidding.
Give me the Polaroids, which...
No.
That's not what's really on those photos, but I'm super curious. What the fuck is on all those Polaroids?
Right.
Do you think they just printed off? Are they all blank? Or do you think they took pictures of they gave a production guy, just go around and take pictures of shit on set, and that'll be what we use in the movie? What is on those photos? There is the everlasting question for me. What is on those pictures we don't see?
Yeah, because you damn well know it isn't what it's supposed to be. But I would assume it's probably just Polaroid photos that a production assistant snapped, probably of random cast and crew or like eating lunch and shit.
It's just Jackie Earle Haley doing like hand motions and shit, so you just flip the photos real fast, it looks like he's moving. What if it's just some shit like that?
It's just nude photos of Jackie Earle Haley.
Him mooning the camera, yeah, like it's just each picture is him just pulling his pants down a little bit further, and you get to see Freddy's ass. Yeah, that's gotta be it.
That's our podcast went there. Fred Krueger's butt.
Yeah. The San Andreas fault of Krueger is right there on camera. Take it in, drink it in, man.
It smells different.
He had Mexican. Well, that's definitely an auspicious way to wrap up the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. So we went to Crystal Lake. Then we detoured and went over to Springwood, Ohio. Where are we going to go next, man? Where does 3B Videos Deep Cut Podcast go next?
I think we need to go way out into the wilderness, cross some real shitty bridge, and spend a couple weeks in a cabin.
Isolation. I've heard it's always better with somebody else.
That's true. I read that somewhere.
Well, I am down to take such a journey. I think we're due for a nice wilderness, woodsy vacation, but hopefully you bring something to read, because I might get bored out there. So you got a good book I could maybe crack open, read a little bit while I'm out on that porch?
It's true, I do. And I also am going to bring along my reel-to-reel so we can listen to some poetry maybe.
Oh, I do like that idea. I say we rent a car too, so we can cram all that stuff in too. Because I don't think either one of our cars are really qualified to make this trek. I think if we had a Delta, we could probably make this journey a whole lot easier for us.
Lot of trunk space.
Whole lot of trunk space to put all the things we need in there, like maybe a book on chemistry, some rope, maybe chainsaw, shotgun, gasoline, that kind of thing.
Yeah. All the essentials for a couple weeks out in the wilderness.
I think this might be what we need. Absolutely, I agree. Let's do it.
All right. So we'll head out in 2 weeks.
Hey Raj, why you stopping the podcast? I ain't even cut you yet.